These are 3 benefits of rosemary oil you absolutely need to know that will help you get extreme hair growth. Now, here's the thing. Hair growth begins at the scalp. I know a lot of people think, oh, if you cut your hair, it's gonna grow faster. Like, yeah, no, you're retaining length faster. And that is a whole different conversation. Length retention is the fastest way you can retain length faster. And let's address it at the beginning. Yes, I know genetics impact the rate of your hair growth. However, a lot of us experience stunted hair growth because you're not taking care of your scalp, you're not eating the right food. So yeah, maybe your hair is growing slowly because you are not growing your hair up to the potential that your genetics can allow. So yes, your hair can grow faster, just not beyond your natural genetics. Okay, I hope that's out of the way. Let's start with the first thing rosemary oil can do for your scalp to help you with that hair growth. Benefit 1 is anti-inflammatory properties. Now, one of the leading causes of stunted hair growth and excessive shedding is actually having an inflamed scalp. And it doesn't look like it's all red everywhere. It's just the kind of thing where maybe it itches more than usual. So you're scratching a little bit more. Your follicles are inflamed, and that's why the hair is failing to grow. It is either getting stagnant, you're getting a lot of clogging and buildup, or your hair is shedding because it is extremely unhealthy. So how can rosemary oil help you with that? It can help naturally soothe the scalp and calm irritation. So if your scalp is already inflamed, there's a high chance that your scalp is also itching. If you scratch, it's going to make it worse. Rosemary is going to help reduce that itching so you won't scratch, which will immediately reduce your inflammation. The properties of rosemary oil for hair growth have actually been compared to a 2% minoxidil in a few scientific studies, and of course, anecdotal results, which means just people trying it and seeing results for themselves. And one of the things that they found is that while minoxidil at a 5% is extremely effective, people have a lot of side effects like itching, whereas with rosemary oil at a 2%, they discovered almost equal levels of hair growth with little to no itching at all. So it is actually a great option before you go for something like a minoxidil, because also with something like a minoxidil, if you stop using it, you will start to lose the hair again, unfortunately. Now, the best way you can use rosemary oil for its anti-inflammatory properties is 1, especially if you're going after the anti-inflammatory properties, you do not want to use pure essential rosemary oil. And I've seen a little bit of confusion out there, and here is how you tell if you have pure rosemary oil or an oil mix. If you look at the back of the container, I'm assuming you're buying a legit brand. The only ingredient on the back should be rosemary oil. If it is only rosemary oil, that means it is pure essential oil, and it has to be diluted, or else you're going to get adverse effects like itching, inflammation, burning, and it can really damage your hair follicles. Even if you don't see the results immediately, you could even be using pure essential oil on your scalp for months, and then 1 year down the line, you're going to be blaming some new L'Oreal shampoo for making your hair shed when it's been the rosemary oil you've been using on your scalp all this time. Now, which one should you not dilute? For example, there's the one by Mael Organics, and there's a bunch of other rosemary oils out there. If you look at the back and the first ingredient is like olive oil, castor oil, camellia oil, and then one of the ingredients is rosemary oil, that means that is ready to use directly on your scalp. You don't have to dilute it. So if you have one of those that you don't have to dilute, just put it directly on your scalp and use less than a teaspoon amount. Like if you have a dropper, 2 dropperfuls should be the max. 1 is most likely enough, because just because it helps soothe your scalp, if you use too much, it can actually clog your follicles, which will lead to more inflammation. And then if you get the one that has to be diluted, you just want to dilute 1 to 2 drops into at least 5 times the amount of carrier oil, which can be castor oil, olive oil, camellia oil, whatever carrier oil you want to use, and then massage that into your scalp, all over your scalp, until you start to feel your scalp tingle a little bit. The tingling sensation should come from the blood flow to your scalp, not necessarily from the rosemary oil, because a lot of people don't feel it in the same way they'd feel tingling from like a peppermint oil. You just want to feel the blood flow rush to that area, and like your scalp and your face will get a little bit warm, and that's how you know you've done enough. Here's the second benefit of using rosemary oil on your scalp, and this is fighting dandruff. and flakes. Rosemary oil can actually help balance the scalp oil production on your scalp. And just like having an oily skin type, oily scalp is very similar. You might think, well, my scalp is so oily all the time, I don't have to use any oil on it. In the same way, people think that people that have really oily skin don't need to use moisturizers and oils on their scalp. The thing is, you are most likely producing excess oil because you have excessive dryness. If you can reduce the amount of dryness on your scalp, you can reduce the amount of oil produced. So that starts with washing your hair, making sure that your scalp is completely clean and hydrated. And then if you go over with an oil to seal in that hydration and nourish the scalp, you will not produce as much oil. Now, if your dandruff is due to something like seborrheic dermatitis, it is a fungal infection, you need to use something else like Nizoral because that is a completely different issue. One way you can still use rosemary oil to tackle your seborrheic dermatitis is to add 1 to 2 drops of rosemary oil into your shampoo, let it sit on your hair for like 2 minutes and then completely wash that out. It'll actually help. And then the second way is to just apply it to your scalp the same way you did in the first way by just generously, and by generously again, 1 drop or full all over your scalp. Massage that into your scalp well. The scalp massage is also going to help distribute that oil all over your scalp and also stimulate your scalp and your follicles to help tackle that dandruff. And when it comes to how often you should use this treatment, you can use the rosemary oil on your scalp 1 to 3 times a week for maximum benefits. The more times you use it a week, the less product you should use. If you only use it once a week and it's on the day when you wash your hair, you can get away with using slightly more product. But again, you don't want your hair to be like completely soaked in oil because you're going to have to use a lot of shampoo to wash that out, which will in turn make your hair dry, and then the benefits you get will not really be worth it. Benefit number 3 of using rosemary oil on your scalp is to improve scalp circulation. Now, blood flow is where the nutrients and the oxygen and everything that your hair needs to grow is carried through. So the more circulation you have on your scalp, the better. Rosemary oil stimulates circulation on your scalp. It has also been proven to help with nerve growth, and it is one of those that's like a vasodilator, which means your blood vessels will be a little bit more dilated to allow more blood flow to that area. And then when you pair it with a scalp massage, it will be even more effective to allow that rosemary oil to penetrate deeper into the scalp. And all you need to do is a simple scalp massage. And I actually have quite a few videos on how to do a scalp massage to get the best benefits, and I will link the playlist somewhere around here at the end of this video so you can check it out if you're not sure how to do a scalp massage effectively. Also, if you are allergy prone or you're just not sure about rosemary oil, I highly suggest you use a slightly higher dose as a patch test somewhere on your body where you can't really see it, like maybe somewhere on your hand or like at the back of your elbow. Just put a little bit of oil there and let it sit for like overnight. Like do it after your evening bath. Put the oil there and let it sit overnight and see if you have any sort of adverse reaction. You may not want to use that on your scalp. And if you want to test it out on your scalp, I suggest you do it like at the back of your scalp on a very small area and see if you react to it. And then if you don't, you can go ahead and proceed to using it. If you have any scalp concerns, please leave them in the comment section below so I can address them in another video or in the comments. And let me know if rosemary oil has worked for you and how it works for you in the comment section below. I would love to know. You can watch my scalp massage video right here. You can watch a video on how I make my own rosemary oil right here. Hit my face right there to subscribe so you get notifications every single time I post, especially if you hit the bell. And you can join my membership program where I post other videos. You get priority responses to your comments and early access to my new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!